Hey there, and welcome back in to another Fantasy and Frames edition of the 2023 Redraft series, where I will be covering Rachaad White in Redraft. My name is Kyle. You can find me on Twitter at KZ1180. If you're joining me on YouTube and you're new to the channel, welcome in. Second, if you wouldn't mind, just hit that subscribe button. Click on the bell that pops up. You'll be notified of all of our great content that we put out here on Fantasy and Frames. All right, so let's jump in, take a deep dive into Rachaad White. Well, we all know he has earned his opportunity as the RB1 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield. No one behind him really on the running back depth chart to really be scared of taking over his spot, which include Chase Edmonds, Keyshawn Vaughn, and undrafted signing of Sean Tucker out of Syracuse, who was recently just cleared from a medical issue. And of course, the GOAT and Tom Brady has hung up his cleats for the final time and has retired. So the Bucs' plan has been executed, where they have brought in Baker Mayfield from his quick stint from the LA Rams to compete against Kyle Trask for the starting quarterback job, who everyone does project to indeed win that job and be named the starter. His 2022 numbers may not look enticing at first glance, but you got to keep in mind that he was a part-time back in the first half of his rookie campaign, where he then started to creep into Leonard Fournette's touches. But here's what he did in 2022 nonetheless. He had 129 carries, 481 yards with 1 touchdown, 50 receptions, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns with a total combined yardage of 781. Not bad for most of that being in the second half of the season. Now, as you can see in 2022, in his fantasy points per game in a half-point PPR setting, he had 6.7 a game, and then in PPR, he had 8.2. 2022 running back fantasy finishes in per game scoring from FantasyData. He finished with RB42 in non-PPR, RB38 in half, and RB36 in full point PPR. It's pretty evident that the doubters would say we haven't seen much of him in a full-time role. And that's fair. We've only seen a small sample size of his abilities so far. His rushing yards from last season, also not really that impressive. He only averaged 3.72 yards per carry, with only scoring the football 1 time on the ground. He was also among the league's worst with yards after contact, totaling 325 yards, averaging out to 2.39 yards per attempt per PFF, which brings me to the final thing doubters will mention, which is PFF having the Buccaneers as the worst run blocking grade in the entire league. However, I would push back on that, because the Bucs brought in left guard Matt Filer from the Chargers and are moving Tristan Wirfs from the right tackle position over to the left tackle, where he actually has experience playing that position in 4 games at the University of Iowa. I think he's going to transition much easier than most. I'm going to keep this positive locomotion going and mention some other reasons why I'd like Rachaad White heading into the 2023 season. He was RB11 on the season last year in receptions with 50 catches. That's right up there with the likes of Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, and Alvin Kamara. In the second half of the season, Rachaad White was running back 25 in rushing attempts and RB8 in receptions. From weeks 10 to week 17 per PFF, he was among the elite running backs for explosive runs for 10-plus yards during that span. Chase Edmonds is the RB2, so it will be Rachaad White's backfield to lose and is expected to receive a heavy workload. Safe to say, I think very highly of Rachaad White, and I do have him locked in to a top 20 running back spot. Just behind Miles Sanders, but ahead of J.K. Dobbins, James Conner, and yes, Cam Akers. Top 10 in running back, I like him, but that would be a stretch. But I could see White finishing inside the top 15 or the very least running back 20 by the end of the season. His current average draft position over at FantasyData.com in PPR has him going 53 overall or running back 22, which is totally fine considering his risk/reward. Rachaad White has breakout potential written all over him, and I would be willing to draft him as a solid RB2 for your fantasy team. And in closing, I'd like to thank y'all for watching this video. If you found this video to be useful, and if you are on YouTube, please, again, just hit that subscribe button. Give me that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, let me know your thoughts on Rachaad White. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear from you. You can also reach me out on Twitter at KZ1180. Just hit me up. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, KZ is out.